Welcome back. Our next guest is a transformational coach who has dedicated her career to helping individuals create meaningful and sustainable change in their lives. Please welcome Helen Pleic to the show. Helen, thank you so much for joining us here on the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself in terms of your career and what you have done to help others transform their lives?
Yeah, so in terms, I have a background in business. I used to work in luxury and sport fashion brands as a VP, and what I realized is that a lot of people want leadership and they don't necessarily take it upon themselves to do that. And one of the things that I used to do is every week I would just sit down with my entire team. I'd cram 25 of them into a room and we would talk about, you know, confidence and presentations and all those sorts of things. And then I decided to do something a little bit more meaningful, get out of the luxury fashion game and to really help people one-on-one, specifically using hypnosis because it's very effective at getting people's trauma out of their system and not reacting. So.
Wow, well, there's something that you actually use. It's rapid transformational therapy. Can you break that down for me? Because it sounds terrifying to me, but I'm sure it isn't.
It's not. So a rapid transformational therapy session is all about getting really clear on the outcome it is that you want to achieve. So if somebody was coming to me and they had like anxiety and they had some confidence issues, then the session would be 2 hours and you would go through a process where you would be hypnotized for an hour and a half. And you would go back to events that have the same feeling and the same meaning behind what's causing the anxiety today. So let's just say somebody has a boss that's very sharp, they're not warm. People often might go back to being at school and needing to present, and when they're presenting to a CEO or a VP or a manager, they go back to that event where kids were laughing at them. And this is what happens. We're in a region where we're not in our familiar environments. So when you're not in your familiar environment, your nervous system begins to get like a little bit unsettled, and then you have a bad meeting, and then it results in people having anxiety and having a negative narrative around how it impacts them.
Wow.
I'm trying not to be triggered by this conversation. But, I mean, so the work you do, how does that actually help the individual then transition to a better space?
So when you're in the workplace, you're either going to react or respond to a situation. Yeah. And when your body is calm and you realise, actually, I'm an adult now, I'm here to create a win-win situation. And this is what I tell all my clients. No matter who your boss is, they've been in their position for 15, 20 years, they're there, they've played the game, you need to respect them in some way, shape or form. So when you play a game that's win-win, you then allow yourself to go, okay, how do they win? How do I win? I'm going to be able to just sit here and respond. And when I make that person feel seen and heard, by easily just repeating some of the words it is that they say, you don't have to pay attention to them. You can just use the same words they say and they're going to feel seen and heard. And then that way, they're not going to react because that reaction is because your body doesn't understand it's safe. And it doesn't understand that you're an adult as opposed to being a 5-year-old or a 7-year-old being bullied or any of those situations.
Now, I had an interesting one. Ash mentioned something at the top of the show.
Okay.
Did you hear when she said that we need a bit of ego?
Healthy dose of ego.
Now, I want to ask you, like, is that maybe just a narcissistic way of thinking?
How dare you?
Oh, here we go.
I
No,
thought
it's
you were
just
friends.
It's a psychologically safe space.
Is this an intervention?
Does that, like, interchange? How do you determine the both, and
So
how does that work?
it depends on the environment you're in. Like if you are in a business meeting and, you know, the profit and loss is negative and there's no cash flow, you need to be able to show up and assert yourself. It's like no one's going to sit there and go, how are you feeling today? Like, tell me your thoughts. Like, you actually do need to be able to speak up, and I think that's where a lot of women naturally hold themselves back because they have to be the good child or the good girl, or anyone who had to be the good child naturally holds themselves back. So I would agree you do need a healthy ego.
Thank you.
But as long as it's win-win.
Just a little bit.
It's just a win-win. It's just a win-win. If it's 50% split time, if there's benefit to both people, it's all about win-win.
I feel redeemed right now.
There you go, you're validated, Ash. Helen, so insightful, so thank you so much for your time. We've really enjoyed it. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
And now